Well, good morning, everybody. All right, lively crowd. I'd like to see that, and thank you so much for having us here. And we realize we're between you and getting something to eat, but that's why they save the best conversation for right now. But thank you for having me here. Thank you for the Georgia Chamber for such an impactful gathering and great conversation. And I always have to give a special shout out to to Daniela, who is always a great to work with, wonderful to work with. And I'm glad that we're here today to share some of this. So as I dive right in, why we are all here is, of course, technical education is invaluable to ensure our state is able to meet workforce needs, especially in some of our fastest growing industries. As industries evolve, skills do as well, necessitating evolutions in our training programs. Today, we will learn about some of the innovative approaches being implemented at our technical colleges, so students remain resilient and prepared for future workforce demands. So help me, I'm going to call up our panelists now, and joining us today are Greg Dozier, Commissioner, Technical College of Georgia, Stephen Zhang, Vice President, Hyundai Motor Group, and Nick Rucker, TCSG 2024 Gold Student of the Year. Oh, can I start with it? Okay, thanks. All right, well, thank you. We have a quick seat change here for us, so we're good to go. We're going to dive right in here, and Commissioner, from a system perspective, what innovations have you all implemented that you believe to be most impactful to students and the business partners that you work with? Also, are there consistent themes in what you see most effective?
Yeah, great question and a very difficult one to answer very succinctly. We're extremely proud of the innovation across our 22 colleges and 88 campuses. A few of those things I was going to mention, actually, Irene and the team before us mentioned. So when you look across, the theme has really been high demand. How do we actually match up the skills that are needed in the workforce, the jobs that are truly in demand, paying high wages, that are giving our students and our citizens the opportunity for economic prosperity, and really preparing the workforce of the future. So a few of those things when you look is obviously in the healthcare industry, as was just mentioned, incredible partnership with Phoebe Putney down there. It's just been great. I won't go into that detail since it was just mentioned, but we have several others that stand out as well. When you look down in the Macon area, Houston Medical has really touched that community by partnering with Central Georgia Tech. They have created a similar living experience for nurses right across from the training area for those nurses. And they have a workforce opportunity of living just like they do in Albany, there right in the Houston County area. Very, very blessed to have that. A few other ones, Piedmont Hospital has partnered in the Augusta area, and they've turned an old learning hospital into our training grounds for the future healthcare workers there in the Augusta area. Just an incredible partnership that you see with innovation and opportunity to really have folks job ready when they walk out. But we're looking at a host, advanced manufacturing. Look down at Ogeechee Tech, and we have a robotics and manufacturing lab that's being built. But it's being built there because we have an incredible Fanix lab, and we look at mechatronics and things of that nature as far as the programming for automation. Just an incredible partnership. Georgia AIM, which we partnered with Georgia Tech, and you're seeing students come in and learn autonomous manufacturing, which also integrates the AI components. And you're seeing that across the system. Cyber. Go to Gwinnett Tech and see an incredible cyber facility set up to really protect our businesses and our individual citizens across this state with state-of-the-art training. It just goes on and on when you look across our system at the opportunities. And those opportunities are truly connected all the way from K-12 through us to our university partners, whether it's independent colleges or our state colleges. A few other things that's really, really neat is I think innovation comes on how do you find folks to make sure that they stay and get that education. Last year or 2 years ago, we were empowered to have 5 pilot high schools. One of those things you're not sure about how that's going to work out. But what we have seen in those 5 pilot high schools, we now have over 3,000 young men and women who are going to drop out of school, who have continued their education, and over 300 now have a high school diploma as a result of that. That doesn't come just from the technical college. That comes from partners with those local superintendents, the local principals, the community identifying someone who's about to leave the opportunity of education and making sure they know what a job of the future is. There's a host of things we're doing. I could keep going, but I'll stop there and just look forward to the questions and other things that come out during this question period.
Great, appreciate that,
Thank you.
Commissioner. Absolutely. Go ahead, Stephen. For you, your team and your organization has partnered with the Technical Colleges System to support the launch of the Automation and Robotics Technology Associate's Degree Program. Could you share what is unique about this program and how you see this positively impacting Georgia's manufacturing sector?
Yes, we were working on this for a few years, but we finally put it together in 2024. It's an associate's degree. And going back, I mean, we named it. There are a lot of programs in the technical college system that covers automation or manufacturing in general, but as we all know, manufacturing historically has been a very dirty, ugly word, and we didn't. Parents did not want to see them going into the manufacturing field. Come to 2024, 2025, manufacturing has changed. Hence, the jobs that are currently available in the state of Georgia, Georgia does a great job recruiting companies like ours, Hyundai and Kia and whatnot, to bring this automation to Korea. To Georgia. But at the end of the day, we need to pivot away from manufacturing. That's why we named it Automation and Robotics Technology, to give that high school student or that parent of a high school student an initial way in to get them push them. We don't get a pushback from those people about manufacturing because it's all about robotics and automation at this point in the game. And the reason why we generalized, we could have created the program for the automotive industry, but this is a very broad degree. It could work for our plant, for Kia's plant down in West Point, but it's going to be for everybody who needs to automate. This will cover automation and robotics for not only the automobile plants, but for any manufacturer in the state. It will even cover that chicken farm that needs to automate. It may even work in the ag facility that needs to automate because, Chris Clark has been saying for years, we're not getting any younger. We're working longer, and the demographics of population is decreasing. Everybody's going to need to automate. And the point is, this degree will help everybody in the automation sector, manufacturing, even in the ag sector as well. So it's a very general degree. And it will feed into a bachelor's degree. The university system is working on articulating credits from the associate's degree into a bachelor's degree. And we are also working with the K-12 system for the certificates embedded in the degree to be teachable in high school.
Thank you for that. And just interesting side note there, with the rebranding from manufacturing to robotics and a more tech-forward, a little bit more catchy kind of way of looking at it, right? And it represents what you're doing now. How has that impacted the attention to those programs?
It's a slow process. We've heard, CTAE, college and career academies. There's a hurdle in trying to get the mindset of the community into this field because there's still an image about manufacturing that it is dirty, dull, and dangerous. But we have to overcome that. And I think everybody needs to be preaching out there that the new jobs of automation and the robotics and manufacturing is not just a job, it's a career now. And because we're just scratching the surface on this stuff, that you can draw a career path from that high school diploma holder with a couple of certificates within this degree to potentially a plant manager making $500,000 down the line.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's really smart, really sharp, the company branding that way. That's interesting. Nick, you're on the hot seat now, my friend. As a TCSG student, how important is it to you that the system continues to implement innovative programs, especially in concert with industry partners to ensure the preparedness of individuals in the workforce? And on top of that, we'll start there, then we'll go to the next part.
Being a healthcare student and a future physical therapist assistant, if it's okay with you, I want to answer through the lens of healthcare. My short answer is that innovation is super, super important, because when we look at the ideas of innovation in healthcare, innovation is at the core of healthcare. You can't separate the two. You know, if you were to try to separate, I mean, you begin to lose ground. And you see, it is innovation that has created some of the most ingenious advancements in healthcare. And as I consider this, I look in terms of Georgia, right, and the TCSG. You know, I know the statement I'm about to make is a biased statement, but I don't want you to lose the objectivity in it. With Georgia leading in business in our state, being the #1 state, I think it's only proper, I think it's only fitting, and I think it's only right that the 22 technical colleges in our state lead in developing the students and delivering on the skilled workforce. And in terms of, you know, as we think about industry partnerships, as we think about healthcare as a whole, if we don't innovate, healthcare as we know it could not and would not exist. And it's all industry partners that allows us to continue on doing what it is that we do.
Thank you for that. Sounds like it's incredibly impactful to you and your life and everyone around
Absolutely,
you.
absolutely.
Thinking about that and the value, what has been the most valuable part about your experience?
Again, it is that beautiful marriage between what I'm learning through the technical college system and the partnerships with the industries. And so with that, it's the clinical rotations for me. Just being able to go into a real hospital or a real skilled nursing facility, dealing with real patients, with real conditions, who are counting on me to be competent in what it is that I do. And, you know, I think it's very different learning from a textbook or a simulation lab within the walls of the college. And it's something totally different when you're staring a real patient in the face who's counting on you to get this right. It's these partnerships that, in my maybe biased opinion, is that it's our secret sauce in the technical college system. I would even say a step further, I think it's both of our secret sauces, the TCSG as well as the industries that we partner with, because for the industries themselves, the industries are able to have their workforce needs met, right? But for someone like me who's a student, it gives me the opportunity, as well as all of the other students in the system, an opportunity to have an outlet and a vehicle by which we not only can imagine better futures, but we have the opportunity to create better futures for not just ourselves, but for the families, for the communities, and for the citizens of what I consider a powerhouse state of Georgia.
Great. Thank you, Nick.
Yes, sir.
So this question is for all our panelists, and Commissioner, we'll start with you. What have you found to be the most significant shift in preparing students within the technical education sphere?
Yeah, great question, and just talking about a few of the answers that we got to the left of me a while ago and connecting it to this question, I think the nimbleness of our technical college system really plays into that shift. And very blessed with that as we started working with Stephen on a true unified curriculum that we could spread out to our 22 colleges to meet the needs of a broad-based manufacturing solution. You have to have that nimbleness to actually change the mindset. The other part of that is we've really challenged ourselves. I think for so many years, our technical college system operated in a vacuum. We really kind of complained that we weren't known. People didn't know who we were, what our purpose was. We cringed when we heard the word school versus college. And I believe now we really have developed that part of the community approach. We've always been hand in glove with our industry. That has truly been that real connection that TCSG has had. But we're now amongst the whole community looking for global solutions. And when you do that, it comes with innovation, and it challenges yourself to expand your abilities, whether it's looking at high school students, college students, or even students that don't even realize they need some continuing education. And so what has been the result? We are seeing that we are a first choice. How do you define that as a first choice? We define it as we provide the opportunities for the jobs of the future. The neat thing is we also don't define it as we're somewhere you come and you don't continue education. I think that's something we all struggle with. You hear it, it's kind of cliche, that learning never ends. Well, in some aspects in the technical education world, we use the word that you were chasing something that was terminable, something that had an end. And I think we're very blessed today that we see the complexities of the future jobs and the innovation and complexities of the education you're getting in high school that transcends to technical college, that transcends to a USG or independent college. And the result is something that at one point you thought ended. Now you see the capabilities. Yes, you can come to us and get your foot in a great career. And yes, you can climb that ladder if you don't chase any other opportunities. But we also have the opportunity to continue going to our USG partners. We have somewhere around 800 articulation agreements with our university partners. And what that means, someone can come in and get that 2-year degree in robotics. And if they want to be a civil engineer, they can walk right into the university system or our independent colleges and continue that career while they're working for a great company. And that builds your workforce. It builds dedication. And so when you look at where are we today, we're sitting in a prime opportunity to where we in Georgia have respect amongst all of our educators. Going back to the CTAE, the question that came in earlier, you know, it was amazing. We would sit years ago and fuss and wish that we had more articulation with our 4-year partners, but we had none with our K-12. Well, we have somewhere around 26 articulated pathways in CTAE now that if you do that at your local high school, you're getting college credit in our system. And so when you start combining the work that you heard from Irene and the team up here on workforce, and you start identifying a globally focused, high-demand career paths, you start connecting the job skill needed all the way from K-12, probably starting in middle school at 8th grade at least, and you start tracking that through your entire education system, we're really on track to have something pretty cool here in Georgia. So very, very proud of the innovation. I think we are a first choice. We're seeing that in the students. But being a first choice isn't a competition thing to say. It's a realization that our systems work together in a globally effort to have the workforce of the future.
Yeah, those synergies are important, that everybody work hand in hand. So, Stephen, I'll ask the same question of you and preface it by you and I are very similar to where we've worked in multiple states, been around different technical systems, and both of our industries benefit from folks going through those types of systems. So for you, I'll ask that same question. What have you found to be the most significant shift in preparing students within the technical education sphere, particularly here in Georgia?
I'm going to second what the commissioner said about nimbleness of technical education. Developing that degree doesn't happen overnight, but it sort of does happen overnight with the technical college system. It was relatively very easy because all aspects of that degree was being taught somewhere in the technical college system. I just had to put it together. It wasn't rocket science. I didn't have to reinvent the wheel. And the fact of the matter is, it's the innovation and the change is that they were willing, because the objective of the technical college is to cater to their industry in their service area. So what had happened is that each technical college serviced their manufacturing. But the difference is they were nimble enough. I said, every school has a slightly different degree in manufacturing. But you can't put it on the corporate because if, let's say, a company's HR personnel hires somebody with this manufacturing degree from, let's say, Athens Tech, and this manufacturing degree from West Georgia Tech, it's similar, but you can't expect the company HR to decipher what each degree is because it's all slightly different. Once we suggested that, hey, you can't give it on corporates to figure this out, why don't we make it a standard system and say this degree is the same at any particular technical college, then all the corporates will be able to know, hey, this is what this person has, their credentials are. And when they heard it, the commissioners just said, okay, let's go. That sounds like a plan, and executing. And that's why the nimbleness of TCSG comes into play, because they're able to shift and pivot very quickly. And I think that's a big benefit to the system.
Thank you.
Patrick, if I could just add to, it's I love what Stephen brought to us, but it's neat to see it from the private industry, but we also saw that same innovativeness coming from our state government. Sat down with Russell over at DOT, and he said, I'm dealing with so many subcontractors dealing with our construction, and there's over 800 open jobs now that could use a 2-year civil engineering pathway. And the one you have at this college is the one that makes sense. Can we have that statewide? And we sat down and navigated it there from a real governmental look, but for a private sector subcontractor. And now we're having that similar program across the state. So challenge to all of you guys, if there's an opportunity out there we're missing that makes sense like this, please bring it to us. We want to make it happen.
Yeah, thank you both for that.
When I think about a significant shift, I think it's exactly that, a significant shift. And I think the shift is happening for 2 reasons. Number one is the excellence of the TCSG and the graduates who are actually stepping up to the plate and producing, as we said we would. And number two, I think the paradigm shift is starting to happen on a macro level in people's minds and hearts when they consider technical colleges, because before, and I used to be one of these people, when you think of technical colleges, for some reason, and I don't really know where it started, but there's a diminished education that you think a person's going to be getting, or kind of less than. But I think what people are starting to realize is that, as Commissioner Dozier said, it's not just a default choice. It is a first deliberate choice that people are making. And I think the reason that is happening is because, honestly, it's just now starting to sink in that without technical college graduates, life as we know it, the comforts that we enjoy, the familiar treats that we're able to operate in, it would not be the same. I mean, I'll ask you guys, imagine in the middle of July or August and your HVAC system breaks down. Without a technical college graduate, there is no one coming for you to help you, because there's not going to be anyone qualified to take care of your issue, or for your 4-legged children when you take them to the vet's office, right? Of course, the vet could take care of their issues, but without a technical college graduate, there's not going to be that personable, that intentional care that's going to be given to your pets. Or your mom, your grandmother, she needs her hair permed on Saturdays, right? And if it doesn't happen, she's going to be upset. But without a technical college graduate, there's not going to be someone that's going to be proficient and formally trained to be able to take care of her. Not to mention, from a physical therapy standpoint, you have a procedure, you have an injury, it's important that you have your functional mobility back. And yes, some may argue, well, we have physical therapists for that. But do the research. The physical therapist assistants are the ones that's going to spend the most time with you, creating your planned interventions, and getting your functional mobility back. Last example that's a little bit more sobering. You're leaving this event today, God forbid an accident happens. You're on the interstate somewhere in a mangled vehicle. Guess what? Without a technical college graduate, that little box vehicle called an ambulance that is generally, typically occupied by someone with a technical college education, without a technical college graduate, there is no one coming for you. Do you see what I'm saying? It is that shift that's starting to happen to where people are saying this is not just about education or just about an institution. This is about sustaining and preserving the lives that we have become used to. This is all very safety at stake. One case in point, I just discovered this, that close to 100% of paramedics have a technical college education. And so for me, that's what it comes down to. And so the shift that's happening, whether it be by the schools saying what we're going to do, people's mind changing, and also I'll be remiss if I didn't mention high school guidance counselors, teachers, you guys advocating for technical college education, saying it is important. You don't have to, there's nothing wrong with the big universities, but technical college education is a practical, functional education, and that's why I think the shift is happening.
That's great. Those are very impactful examples, and it was well done. Thank you. And I'll say, all great examples, and someone who grew up an hour from Canada, I love it when the HVAC folks are there pretty quick down here when it breaks, so thanks for that. And we have one question. We'll leave a little time for Q&A, so Stephen, I'll start with you and just ask we leave a couple minutes for our guests out here to ask some questions. So as we look to the future, what do you see as the greatest opportunity to make sure students remain resilient through their professional careers?
I think generally speaking, the open-mindedness of the technical college education. For the longest time, I've probably said this 1,000 times, I was the first to go to college in my family. That's old stuff. You know how many kids graduate with a bachelor's and come back home and are unemployed and hopefully not living with me in the near future, but at the end of the day, I think the technical college education goes leaps and bounds. I mean, Nick has been giving you very good examples. At the end of the day, there's a good portion of students graduating high school that are not continuing their education. I think if we can sort of steer them from a CTE perspective and open their eyes to what the technical college has to offer, it may even translate them into getting a bachelor's degree, getting a master's degree, getting a PhD, because every student, every child starts at a different point. And we just need to open their eyes to the difference. We can't, the kids not going to a college is not a statistic. We still need to take care of them. And with what the technical college does, with what the Hope Grant and the Hope Scholarship does, it's a great system in the state of Georgia, and we can't let a kid graduate high school or graduate whatever and be flipping burgers at McDonald's when there's a plethora of career opportunities available for them, probably for free, at their local technical college.
Yeah, thanks. It really shows what's possible, and it shows generations what's possible. Personal level, my mother, youngest of 4, went back to college when I was like 7 years old, and eventually got her master's as she worked through her life, and it showed the kids and everybody around what can happen. And it started at a technical college where I grew up, so it's impactful on so many levels. Same question to you, Nick.
I just think everything in our society is constantly changing and evolving. I think the way that we ensure the resilience is that we just continue by leading by example as a system, the TCSG. Because when you think about innovation, it's not just creating something new. part of innovation is perfecting what you're already doing. And I think the TCSG as a whole has done an incredible job at leading by example. So I say just to continue in that and perfect it.
That's great. Thank you. Commissioner?
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple. As has already been stated, we have to keep looking for problems and providing solutions. And when you do that, relevance is the reality. The other thing is we got to keep getting Nick's in front of folks. If you guys, I mean, you guys, you know, he's the star of the show up here. You guys have been clapping, and he deserves that. But I want to make sure y'all realize that, you know, you have over 150,000 students working toward a credit program inside your technical college system. We have another 150,000 working for continuing education and non-credit. We do every year a competition to identify the student of the year out of all 22 colleges and 150,000 students, and you're looking at the guy right here. Pretty awesome, pretty awesome. We're able to do that because the industry believes in us, and we've got, Stuart's been mentioned today, but Stuart, you and Kia have been critical in actually supporting that process, and Nick's driving a brand new Kia as a result of being Student of the Year because of that support. So thank you. But honestly, I bring that up because that's the reality of relevance. Kia, Hyundai, everybody else that's in here with industries are not going to come to the table if the Knicks of the world aren't producing. And so, and the Knicks of the world aren't producing if we don't have great colleges or great faculty that have great advisory boards at the local level that make sure the skills match the job. So that's our job, is just to keep being relevant by providing answers to problems.
And a common theme from earlier conversation was nimbleness, right? Whenever I talk to you, I hear nimble. Heard Stephen say it without being prompted, right? Nimble. That's important. What's important for the industry, for the whole state, and for the student, the real human resources.
And if I can just add one more thing related to the Hyundai experience right now, you know, Stephen talked about a global curriculum for a 2-year pathway, really in the engineering and mechatronics and in that area. But also, as Hyundai came in, the 5 colleges local to Bryan County came up along with them a 5-week program for the technician side. And so that's the thing on the nimbleness is, as there's needs that arise, don't hesitate to ask us. We want to sit at the table, find a solution, and provide the workforce.
Yeah, that's great. I found that to be true ever since I moved to Georgia. So thanks for all you and your teams do. All right, we have about 4 or 5 minutes for Q&A.
Thank you. I'm Patrick Ledford with the Department of Education. Great job, gentlemen. So this is kind of like the magic wand question, right? Thinking about the next 5 years in terms of workforce development or workforce preparedness, what do we need more of? You know, what would you like to see from your perspectives? You know, we have the governor's workforce strategy team. There's so much synergy between secondary, post-secondary, whether that's PCS or USG, just a lot of really good stuff going on. But what would you like to see more of from your perspectives to address some of these workforce challenges? I'm actually going to challenge you a little bit. You can't just say funding, right?
Great question, and always good to see you. Appreciate our partnership. And I would not say funding. That's not in my DNA, so that would not be my question. I mean, my answer. My answer really is what do our labs look like? You know, as you go through our technical college system, we've been very blessed to actually change out the learning experience. I was just down at Ogeechee Tech yesterday, and I'll mess this up. Maybe Nick knows what it's called, but we just got down there an electronic table for all of our allied health courses, and they had the human body on there, and we're peeling off on the table. It's a virtual look, but you also had the screens up for the students, and we were peeling off the layers of a body and teaching our, what's it called?
Anatomage.
That's it, an anatomage table. You know, the reality is this sounds crazy. We warranty every one of our graduates, meaning when they get into the industry, if they can't perform the job, they can come back and get training free. In order for us to continue with that strong belief in the skills that we provide, the things we're training on have to match what they're walking in to produce the skill. And so where are we headed in 5 years? I think each and every day we're headed toward making sure the learning environment matches the real world experience. And I could go through a multitude of innovative things we're doing right now, from a workforce accelerator programs and automation that we're going on across the state, to healthcare. I mean, just incredible things. If you've been in our colleges, you've seen the ambulance cut in half and the work areas match it. You see the bodies that we're able to put in while the nursing students are going through things, change the environment, make them make hard decisions. But we still have a ways to go to make sure our labs match the work experience.
Thank you, Patrick, for that. But I think the lady before the previous session asked about CTAE. I think just getting the word out what CTAE is, I think there's a stigmatism going around. I think just, especially the programs, I'm just gonna be biased in the automation program, it's transferable credits all the way up to the university and a bachelor's degree. We need to let them know that this is the kind of stuff that is available, starting with your program at K through 12 and Commissioner Dozier's program at TCSG, and for our sake, the mechatronics engineering program at Kennesaw and the manufacturing engineering down at Georgia Southern. It's all going to be transferable at some point. And with that pathway, it just gives you a very good guideline. And if we can start them at 8th grade, 9th grade, or wherever it may be, I think, what you don't know is what you don't know. I think there's a lot of preaching that needs to happen about CTAE and these pathways that are currently available, ending up in very good paying careers in various fields within the system of Georgia.
Just really quick, I think the verbiage that we use is, instead of what we are gonna do, it should be what we are gonna do, because the tribe is always stronger than the singular warrior. And so as we all adopt TCSG, Technical College Education, and the power and influence of it, and we all continue to advocate for it, then it doesn't just rest on the shoulders of a few, because we all have a part to play in it. That's what's gonna help us continue to grow in the next 5, 10, 15 years.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate your time. We're out of time for questions. However, most of this panel, I'm sure, will be around for lunch and around, so please ask questions then. 2 things before we adjourn. We're going to break for lunch in just a moment, and we will resume programming right at 1:05. But before we do that, please give a round of applause for this great panel. Thank you.